Hi, my name is Kader and I'm going to be your instructor today. I'm going to teach you about using SketchUp, which is a great 3D design software. It's very easy to use, it's very intuitive, and after you know the first basic 12, 15 rules of using this program, you'll be able to design and build any object you ever come to mind. You can design furniture, you can design houses, you can design buildings, you can design cities. It's basically the same, as long as they're simple geometric shapes. So the first thing we want to do, we want to make sure we have the tool palettes that we need ready. See this tool palette? That's basically the most essential tool palette that you need for this program. Sometimes you open the program and this tool palette is not available. So you go to View, Toolbar, and make sure you check Tool Palettes, Large Tool Set. You see this one here, Large Tool Set? It hides it. It shows it. Make sure it's checked on, right? Very important. Second thing, you want to make sure that the program is filling the whole screen, because if it's not filling the whole screen, like in this case, you may lose this bar in the bottom which has the dimensions. It has a very important critical information to your work. So you want to always be able to see this little lower right hand corner. There's a lot of useful information there. So the first thing we're going to learn is how to navigate the space. When you open the program, it always opens with this template where there is infinite green horizon with a blue axis, red axis, and green axis. This is up, this is left, and this is right. Of course, it depends where you look at it. I can spin it around with the orbit tool. It's very important to become very familiar and comfortable with the space. The orbit tool allows me to look at any object from any direction I want. The hand allows me to pan right, left, up, and down. If I use the lens, I can zoom in. If I use the middle roller in my mouse, I can zoom in and zoom out. It's much easier to use a mouse to do this kind of design. This program is designed to be used with a mouse. It's very hard to use a tablet only. So I think it's a good investment to buy a mouse. You can buy a mouse for as little as $5. If you want to go cordless, maybe 15. So now you have an object in space and you can float around it. Let's say I zoomed out too far and I got lost. I don't know what I'm looking for. Let's say I'm here and I forgot what I was working on. If I use this zoom extends, the whole object would be centered in the middle of my screen. It's a very useful thing to do. So now I have the navigation tool under control. I can start designing and drawing. So the first object we're going to learn to do today is how to draw a simple little box. When I open the software allows me to look at objects from above, from right, from left, and from below. So to draw a box, I'm going to look at the screen from above by using the orbit and having the blue axis pointing at us. I click on this first tool, which is the rectangle tool. If I hover long enough over any object, software tells me what it does. So in your free time, make sure you click these things and try playing with them. But for now, I'm going to show you one by one how each tool works. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to make a box. So I select the box tool. I'm going to select anywhere on the screen, it doesn't matter what's here. And notice that in the lower right hand corner, I see dimensions. I see 1 foot 6 and 3/8 by 1 foot 6 and 3/8. The program wants to draw perfect shapes, so it chooses. If you're close to a square, it will give you a square. If you go to a rectangle, it will give you a rectangle. But you can dictate the size of your object by typing in the keyboard. So the first step, I click on the screen and I start dragging without clicking, and I have shapes. They look like narrow rectangles, squares, depending how I drag the other end of the rectangle that I'm drawing. So I'm going to make a 2 feet by 4 feet shape. So while it's not completely finished as a rectangle, it's still hinting on which direction it's going to go into. I'm going to type on my keyboard 2 feet and make sure I give it the unit, comma, which will indicate the other direction. One is going to be the length, and comma says that the length is ended, and now give me the width by 4 feet. Then I press enter, and I have a rectangle that's 2 feet by 4 feet. How do I know for sure that I did this correctly? We're gonna start using the dimensioning tool. So if I click the dimensioning tool, I have two choices. I either click the beginning of the dimension, end of the dimension, and I drag it, or I click the line itself and I drag it, and it'll give me the same thing. So I can either click and have length, or just click the line and drag it sideways and have the width. So now I have a perfect shape. It's 2 feet by 4 feet. I don't need these dimensions, so I'm going to use the eraser tool. It gets highlighted and you click on it, it disappears, which is very good. So we have a flat piece of paper on the floor that's 2 feet by 4 feet. Now this piece of paper does not have thickness. It's just a flat piece of paper. In reality, objects have thicknesses, so let's say that we want to make this into a little bench. So I can click push-pull. If I click this push-pull tool, it's the genius of SketchUp. It makes how the program mostly works. It allows you to start with two-dimensional objects and make them into three-dimensional objects. So I'm going to click. When I hover over an object, I see dotted lines. These dotted lines tell me that this surface is ready to be molded and changed. If I click with the left hand button and move my mouse up, my shape starts to have height. If you notice in the right hand corner, I have dimensions. It says 10 inches. I want it to be 16 inches. I can type while it's still active. I can type 16. I don't even have to type units because it's set to work in units of inches. So if I just type 16 and enter, I already have a box that's 16 inches high. So I'm going to make sure it's 16 inches high. I'm going to measure. Remember, 1'4" is 12 inches plus 4 is 16 inches. So my box is exactly as I want it. It works from every dimension. It's a correct, perfect mathematical object. So I'm going to stop here, and we're going to come back to this in a minute. You have to really practice this exercise. If you cannot draw rectangles that are correct and that are accurate and are drawn correct with the correct orientation, you would not be able to do more with the program. So it's very important to master this step before moving on to the next step. We're going to take a break now, and in the next video we're going to continue.